Welcome back, and we are moving into our final conversation for today, getting a report from the South with activist, Belize Territorial volunteer, Wil Maheia. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. As usual, always a pleasure to be in Belize City.
I know. You know, I think, and you always come with quite a bit of information and perspective from the South. Wil, we haven't really had the opportunity to hear from you following the Guatemala referendum, and I know you've been following. You are very passionate about this issue. What's your perspective at this point?
Well, I think that, the Guatemalan people, 25% of them, which definitely represent the vast majority of Guatemalans, have spoken and they say, they want to go to the ICJ. I don't think that we as Belizeans need to pay attention to what they do on that side. Yeah. What we need to do is stay focused and keep our eyes on our 8867 square miles.
Now, you see, it has really brought the conversation into focus here in Belize, and a lot of people have been expressing their concerns and their different positions on this issue when Belize goes to the referendum. What is it like in PG? Do people really have this issue as a central one to them at this point?
Well, I think that throughout the country of Belize, especially those of us who live between the Sibun and the Sarstone, which is around 52% of this country, and really and truly, when you think about it, we as Belizeans, we are one vote away from deciding whether or not we're going to gamble with 52% of our country. I mean, when you go to just the referendum is left for Belize. And that's basically saying to the Belizean people, I'll take more than half of your country, put it up for grabs. I mean, that's the way we look at it who live in that area. I mean, the term PG refugee, come on. I don't want ever to think about that, because if you look at most of these cases around the world, when the ICJ rules, what happened? How are these people? They become refugees. People don't think ahead. And I keep asking people, okay, fine, I respect your opinion to say, yes, let's go to the ICJ. Okay, but there's a strong possibility that 52% of our country could be lost.
Strong possibility?
Well, we're being told that the stronger possibility, and in fact almost certainty the way the officials speak, is that Belize has a strong case.
Yes, I mean, we've always had strong cases, and we've heard of strong cases. I mean, we've heard that, hey, there's no way that with this UHS we can lose, or the BTL we could lose. And what happened? We are now paying, enormous amount of money for that. I mean, we can lose. I believe, like when the Prime Minister said that if we go to court with BTL or the UHS, there's no way we could lose. Everybody believed that. Even me, I was like, yeah, take them to court because they got this money illegally or whatever. This is a well-learned attorney, let's go on his bandwagon. And then bam, judge rule, we get the book out.
So you don't want to,
we can't gamble. I mean, I don't think that we've seen it. I mean, it's like, God has put this in front of us. See what could happen if we go to court, even though you have a strong case.
Isn't it a bit of fear mongering though? Because according to some of the well-learned people we're not just looking at the Prime Minister.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not the mistakes and the errors that the Prime Minister has made in terms of his opinion as to the strength of local cases. We're talking about international jurists. We're talking about people like Assad Schuman, Lisa Schuman, Said Musa, all of these very learned people who are saying, you know what, this one, we don't believe that is the factor there.
Yeah, and all those learned people that you talk about, I have tremendous respect for them. At the same time, I am thinking that we as Belizeans have to realize that if we vote yes, we're saying 52% of our country is up for grabs. We might have a strong case, I'm not denying that. The fact of the matter is we can lose part of our country.
And I suppose the flip side of that is we also have the opportunity to put this issue to rest.
Yeah.
True. But remember now, Guatemala, even us being appeasing and accommodating the forces that my brothers like to use, continue to disrespect us. Look on this past Sunday. Wil Maheia was not involved at all. I deliberately stayed back because they say, oh, Wil Maheia, you're a troublemaker, you go to the border, you try, you rile these people up. These were innocent missionary, well diggers, going up to do a humanitarian mission to bring fresh water to these villages. They were stopped by the Guatemalan armed forces. I mean, the Guatemalan
in the Sarsoon.
in the Sarsoon, they continue to disrespect us. How can I go to court in good faith when you continue to disrespect me and my country? It's like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Let's say Guatemala was like this nice neighbor, respect is due, and, you know, we respect each other. We have this, because, you know, at the end of the day, I have great relationship with Guatemalans. You know, my son Waluko, he's named after a famous Guatemalan footballer, right? So we who live in the South have always had relationship with Guatemala.
When you talk about go cross,
yes,
people are walking across the border, people jump on the boat to go
yes,
to barrios.
you know, I mean, I would like it to be like, you know,
Yeah.
how it is in Europe. It comes to the point, or even I think up north, that if you live in Corozal, you could just jump and go to Chetumal.
Yeah.
I want it to be that way.
But
you know, but know that our borderline exists.
And I want to go back to some of the issues that you have experienced firsthand. You spoke of the boat that went up to Grand Creek. We just reported that last night. But you've had quite a few missions with the Territorial volunteers trying to get to the Sarsoon Island, and you do encounter Guatemalan armed forces. In fact, we document it now. But I want you to tell us a bit about the engagement that happens. It seems to me that you go out there expecting them to stop you now because it happens on such a frequent basis.
Yes.
But what is the engagement once the boat stops you? What do they tell? Or do they tell you you're in Guatemala? What is? Or do they simply trail you like it used to happen at one point in time? Tell me what's happening.
Actually, they make it known. Like this past week, just this past Sunday, they told the guys. In fact, the only reason why they did not arrest those guys and take them into Guatemala, well, that would be kidnapping. Because if I come into your country and I yank you into my country, that's kidnapping.
Like they did before.
Yeah. The only reason why they did not kidnap those Belizeans was because there was an American missionary on board. And when he took out his passport, that was when they backed off. Right? They let those guys know plain that when you come up here, you need to go to Livingston, clear customs and immigration, then come up the river. You can't just come up the river like that because that river is Guatemalan river. They made it known, and it was no ordinary Joe on that boat. It was what they called him mayor, the head guy, you know.
So let's look into that a little. Couldn't somebody use the argument that that is one of the very reasons the experience this week with the American who took out his passport and they backed off as an indication of why we should go to the ICJ? Because if you have third countries who are monitoring or who are present, who are willing to enforce, then Guatemalans would back off. And the only way we would get that, according to the narrative we are being told by the officials and the smart people, is if we have a decision which allows them to then back it up with some other mechanism.
Well, you know, you always hear about these so-called friends of Belize, right? I am saying to those so-called friends of Belize, why don't they talk to their friend Guatemala and say, have some respect for the Belizean people? Let's start there. I'm not saying like I will never say no, no to the ICJ ever. But look, I'm not just going to go gamble 52% of my country just like that, knowing that Guatemala, Assad Schuman, the same very learned guy that you spoke about earlier, called Guatemala what? Serial treaty breakers or something like that, where he says like they don't respect anything.
Serial killers of
serial killers of treaties. So we cannot trust the Guatemalans. If Guatemala had like people that we could trust, of course, let's go to the court. But we can't trust them. How can we trust them? What have they done for us to trust them?
They have voted yes to go to the ICJ.
Based on that, you're going to trust them?
They've granted
Based on that, you're going to trust them?
We asked them for something. Belize said, listen. Belize said, listen.
Agreed.
Belize said, before we want to go to the ICJ, we think that you have a case that's very bad. Go to the ICJ. You are afraid to go to the ICJ. So Guatemala said, you know what? I'm going to call your bluff. Yes, go to the ICJ. And before I finish that, I think it's a very dangerous thing, in my opinion, Will, to tell our Belizean people that because 25% of the people voted, that it's not a legally valid vote. it is a legally valid vote. And the flip side of it is that 90% of them voted yes to go to the ICJ. Under their legal mechanism, that is an astoundingly loud vote to go to the ICJ. Now back to my point. They said, you asked me what they have done. They have said, listen, let's go to the ICJ. The ball is in your court.
On their condition.
No,
Didn't we agree? Didn't we agree to have simultaneous referendum? Wait, did we not agree to have simultaneous?
The
original.
yes.
But
Who changed that? Was it Belize that said, hey, Uno go first? Was it Belize that said that? Come on, man. Then guys always they change the rules and we'll say, yes, sir, yes, sir,
but
yes, sir. Come on.
Our government and our foreign minister agreed to it.
Our government?
Yes.
Our foreign minister? Yes. You actually have faith in our foreign minister?
We have to.
Come on. Even the former foreign ministers of this country have came out publicly and condemned this present foreign minister. Come on. Lisa Schumann, got enough respect for her. Assad Schumann, got enough respect for him. They actually say, how can we deal with a man like the present foreign minister, Elrington? Come on.
It's a bipartisan thing.
Oh, you see, now we get into politics. This should be a Belizean thing. You see, I'm a member of the Belize Progressive Party. When I'm talking about this, I'm a Belizean. This is not about no political party, but everybody know that I'm a member of the Belize Progressive Party. When I go to the border, I go there as a Belize Territorial volunteer. Right? This is our country. So, I mean, the foreign minister, come on. We have
so you feel that the foreign minister
has betrayed us. Has betrayed Belize by continuing to appease the Guatemalans and has never challenged them for violating our human rights.
You spoke of a mistrust in Guatemala because of their behavior in the Sarstoon, and I would say even in the Chiquibo. If we would see the current government make efforts to cut down on the fishermen who are coming into our waters to fish, in the approach by the Guatemalan armed forces, pretend would be harder because they're poor people and they're not under government rule, but perhaps make some investment in that area to get people out of poverty and stop wanting to come into our territory. If they would make one or several of these efforts, would that then make you, as an activist, as a Belize Territorial volunteer, as a man on the ground with this issue, more comfortable in agreeing that we settle this matter in court?
Exactly. But first we got to see some respect. Definitely. Come on. You know, like I'm saying, I'm not like saying ever, I'm never going to agree. But I mean, when you have these, our neighbors continue to disrespect us, how can we take them seriously? You know, I mean, right now, I always say, no Guatemalan will go hungry because they don't get Belize natural resources. You know, sure, we always say, you know, they come over, they're poor, they need to come over. Well, we Belizeans, you look at Southside Belize City, they are no more poor than those poor Guatemalans. You don't see them going into the Chiquibol and occupying it and exploiting it. They respect the laws. As poor as the people on the south side Belize City are, they are law-abiding citizens.
Let me ask you one more question too. We see, because you documented, you put it on Facebook, we get it in the media, we speak to you directly. We see images, video images of Guatemalans in our country. We see Guatemalan armed forces, military forces, approaching people in the river, stopping them, sometimes simply warning them, sometimes only following them. Many different approaches. Do you ever file or report these issues directly with government representatives?
Yes.
And what is usually the response? What is the mechanism that you use, and what is the response that you get?
Not even the decency to respond and say, look, we've received your email, we have received your WhatsApp message. I have them on WhatsApp, I have them on email. You know, the person who I have tremendous respect for in this whole thing is the Ambassador Alexis Rosado. He will listen to what you have to say, and I think this guy, Badi too, he's, you know, yeah, there are people that you could reach, you send them a message, they will at least respond.
Yes.
you know, they'll come on the ground and see what's going on.
Well, we did see Ambassador Rosado go over to Livingston when there was the issue where the
Ambassador
volunteers were
Rosado,
taken over.
in my opinion, he has done a great job.
But what I'm saying is because there's also a system. Whether we like the system or not, there's just a system of how countries operate. And what we typically hear is Guatemala would file a specific concern to the foreign ministry if something takes place. We don't always hear it the opposite way. And I'm wondering if perhaps that we are not passing the information up. Maybe it's only playing out in the media, which in my opinion should be enough. But also, it's like you don't make a report to the professional standards branch when the police rough you up. You come to the media, they may investigate, but they still need a report.
Right.
So, but what you're saying is you do send this information every time.
I mean, not every time, because you get to the point where it's like, you keep sending and don't get no response. So, it comes to the time it's like we're wasting our time. We go to the media. We know that they listen to the media. Whether they admit it or not, they listen to what's going on out there.
I don't know. Quite a few times officials say they don't watch news or they don't know what's happening.
So they say. So they say. I don't believe them.
We accept the answer. I mean, I don't think anywhere else in the world your leaders will say, I don't know about a major issue.
Yeah, I didn't see the news.
Well,
I heard about that.
Can I ask two, I don't want to say provocative questions.
Us?
But could someone say that the taking of civilians into the river is a bit reckless?
Reckless?
Reckless. Because clearly you are met with gunboats. You said it that you have an expectation that you're going to meet a hostile military force with live ammunition. And emotions are high. The officials are trying to deal with it at whatever pace they are. But the argument could be made that we are putting Belizean lives at risk, and for no other reason other than maybe political grandstanding. You have run for political office before, and this might be part of your strategy to get some political relevance.
Yeah, but you cannot mix this with politics, because if you check my history, and I always say, you know what, I run on my reputation. I have been going to this area and been monitoring and championing Belize's cause and protecting Belize's natural resources long before I got involved in politics. I got involved in politics because I believe that we have been failed by the present political system, and that's why I got involved as an independent or as a Belize Progressive Party. I didn't join one of the major parties because they have continued to fail us. So this, like saying like politics is involved with this, is really and truly not accurate, none at all, because my reputation speaks for itself. I've been doing this long before politics. And speaking about being reckless of taking civilians to the Sarstone, I don't see how it is reckless for us Belizeans to travel in our 8867. If it is not, then the government of Belize should say, you know what, we have given away the Sarstone to the Guatemalans. If you go there, you're on your own. But they have not informed the Belizean people of that. They're living in denial because the Guatemalans have the Sarstone.
No, I won't even touch that one.
But it's the fact.
But do you think, in your opinion, you're a member of a third party, and I don't think we should shirk away.
Another party, not the third party. Another party.
Another party.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should shirk away from the political element in the whole resolution process.
Right.
Do you think it's time for the third parties to have a representative on the bipartisan board in doing the negotiations with Guatemala? And do you think it would be helpful?
I think it would be helpful, and I think that it shouldn't be just two political parties. It should include all the other political parties, and even some of the social partners should be on that negotiating committee. It shouldn't just be your PUP, UDP thing. You have a lot of other people. I think members of the chamber should be there. Member of the BNN, the Belize network of NGOs, should be there. I mean, they employ a lot of people, and they do a lot for this country.
It's a crowded room.
So, yeah.
Well, I was going to say maybe that's too many hands in the pot, but do you at least want to be consulted or educated on what is taking place in the negotiations?
Yes, of course, and this like education, this one-way education where the government is claiming we're educating people about the ICJ. I have been to many of their presentations and they're like telling you basically plain there's no other solution but to go to the ICJ. Come on, you know, visit the BPP website and you will see a lot of alternatives there. So, you know, Belize Progressive Party.org or Facebook page and you'll see alternatives. So when it's like saying that there's no alternatives, there's lots of alternatives out there.
But your personal, I mean, I may say, well, we could live with this forever, or I may say we could just build a wall, but I'm not in the capacity to be able to say that. The way these things function is different. And when we talk about, or when we hear people talking about the ICJ being the only way, it's because other methods have been tried. But
and some methods have worked, you know, because let me tell you, for example, I mean, I remember, I think you were probably in high school or, right? You were in Toledo.
Yeah.
And at that time, Guatemalans occupied what is now the Port Honduras Marine Reserve. A lot.
Yeah.
Today, there's no Guatemalans occupying there, thanks to people power, not the government. So if we, remember now, up until the 90s,
you were tied at the time, I remember.
Right.
Yeah.
We had a clear line along the border that was cleared by the villagers who live on the borderline.
Well, that was going to be my next question, because I think sometimes too what we don't talk about is what we need to do. And you speak of the forcefulness that Guatemala has and your disappointment in how our foreign minister handles things. You know, when the Chiqui Bull was frustrated with what happened in that area, they screamed, shouted, hollered, came to the media all the time, more boots on the ground, more boots, and they're still saying it. There was a telethon raised, they raised money, got more rangers, their own boots on the ground. Is it perhaps time for us to develop something for Belizeans on the south as well? We heard the CEO of agriculture talk about how expensive it is, you know that, to take the boat out on patrol waters. But is it perhaps something we need to do more on our side to build a protective mechanism?
Yes, exactly. If we have a constant, serious presence. I mean, just the Belize Territorial...
But the Coast Guard base is there.
Doesn't mean that they're enforcing the laws. You have some serious Coast Guard guys. When they're there, there's no illegal fishing. None. Absolutely none.
What do they do?
They just go out and patrol. And they let the Guatemalans know that you are in Belizean waters.
And they respond, Guatemalans respond?
What? Yes. Yes, they have this guy. His name is Macho, a Coast Guard guy. He drives one of the boats. He's from Crooked Tree. And when he is in that area, he was like, you know, no illegal fishing in that area.
We got to meet this
because
Matthew.
He makes sure he have his patrol going.
That's interesting.
Because that's essential.
Yes. I mean, like I was saying earlier, you remember you could go to the Port Honduras Marine Reserve 15 years ago, and this was like, you know, lots of Guatemalans in there, and it was constant patrol and saying get out from here, and they're not there anymore. Down between, I would say, illegal fishing between Punta Gorda and the Sarstoon is down by maybe 50 to 60%, thanks to the Belize Territorial volunteers, but also the serious guys in the military. I mean, you have some serious guys in the BDF and the Coast Guard.
So what you're saying is some of the Coast Guard members are very proactive in going out,
and that's all we need.
And getting people out of the area.
You know, in the old days.
But what do they do when you try to go to the Sarstoon Island?
Who?
The territorial volunteers. Do you check in with the Coast Guards and let them know, you know, we're going out to Sarstoon Island? Do they respond when you're approached by Guatemalan Armed Forces? What happens in that time?
So we'd usually stop in, say hi to the guys, you know, and some of them are very friendly and yeah, you know, keep up the good work. When we go over there and the gaff comes after us, there was this one time, and that's how I got to meet this guy from Crooked Tree who manned the boat. He saw it was when we took the guys from Polo basketball team. He saw the gaff boat coming at us, and he was at the Coast Guard base at the outpost. And he jumped in his boat and he came in front of our boat to ensure that the gaff did not interfere with our boats, and the gaff did not interfere with our boat on that day.
You're troubling me though. Are you, from what I'm gathering from you, it seems to me that our displacement or issues in the Sarstoon comes from our inactivity and allowing them to do certain things.
All along the border. Because if in the Chiqui Bull, whenever they cleared a spot to plant some corn or beans, we uprooted that or burned that or take it out before that even grow, we wouldn't have the problem we have now. but we are too soft and accommodating. If a Belizean, you could see right there, Big Ye, that group from Belmopan, when they wanted to plant corn, they were threatened with going to jail and all that, they backed off. Belizeans are law-abiding. Why can't we do the same in the Chicky Bowl?
But what if that caused a war? Because that's the logic
And
that's been put to us.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
yeah.
Logic is, we'll continue to
have
go
to
down
be
there, Belize
careful.
Territorial volunteers keep on going there, keep on taunting these things.
Taunting? Taunting? Come on, brother.
I'm repeating the narrative in the
Taunting?
way...
We are Belizeans?
I'm repeating the narrative in the way it will be presented to you. That you're taunting them.
You're being a troublemaker.
Being a troublemaker.
That comes from, again,
and
people who don't really care about this country.
and people who are fearful. It's not only people who don't care. Fear does a lot of things to you. And what feeds into the fear is the conclusion of the possibility that you could start a war. That's the way it goes.
So, because we don't want to stand up for our country, we will let Guatemala come and bully us. Today it could be the Sarstoon, tomorrow it could be Barranco, the next day PG, next day the way out of Belize City. Watch out, we just cannot back down. Look here, they're saying, I've heard the same foreign minister talk about Israel and, Egypt and all of them. Compare the population of Israel to all the Arab countries. Israel stand up, right? We as Belizeans, we need to stand up. We can't be saying, oh, they're big, they're mighty, come on. We can't be bullied by those guys.
And I think what Kevin is saying is fair in terms of relaying what we would normally hear from officials, that it's almost provocation of sorts.
Yes.
And that's my word, not theirs.
Yeah.
But what would you say to people? For people who pay attention and they hear what officials say, they hear what you say, and they're on the fence. Are you provoking? What's your motive in this? Why do you go to the Sarstoon Island? Repeat. Are you staking your claim over this particular as a Belizean? Is that your motive in why you are going there?
8867 square miles. Both Philip Goldson and George Price have said that this is our territory, and Mr. Goldson, who is kind of like a mentor to me, had stood up for this country, had not backed down, and that's why I go there to ensure that our 8867 square miles remain intact. Not for me, well, for me, but not only for me, future generations. That future generations could enjoy what we have been blessed with. 8867.
One of the suggestions about what should happen, at least at that border point, is the possibility of declaring it a national park.
Yes, it is a national park. People don't know that. That falls within the Sarstoon. The Sarstoon Island falls within the Sarstoon Timash National Park.
That's
Most people don't know that.
I thought it was further up. Satim's
No,
area is further
the
up.
park starts from the beginning of the mouth of the Sarstoon River going up, including the Sarstoon
And the island is at the intro of.
What is managing it then?
It's not having any management right now because of Guatemala's bullying.
Well, let me repeat this to you, because you keep on saying this bully word. I believe it was let me not misquote him, but I remember putting that question to Ambassador Rosado. I said, man, these guys are acting like a bully. And I don't think he agreed with me at the time when I said so.
Well, he probably missed the news. If I come at you, my brother, and I got my gun at you, and I'm telling you, you cannot come to the back of your yard, what do you call that?
But I think one of the things that perhaps we don't put into perspective, it's not something we like hearing. And I think when we say things, people think, you agree with it. But the Guatemalans, even in their interviews, don't believe there's a border. And that's the basis of this unfounded claim.
They don't believe.
This is the basis of, this is what the issue is. They believe there is no border. They believe that they claim this area, which is why they traverse it so easily. And that's my assumption. But, I think when you talk about whether or not they're bullying or whether or not we are doing enough, that's really the here. And one of the things I'm really stuck on is that you are saying there are people in the South who are ensuring that where the boundaries are, or where the limits are in terms of where a Guatemalan fisherman can traverse, that they're enforcing it. We are seeing efforts from our side.
Yes, some efforts. We need to see more efforts.
Do you think it's more an individual basis,
It is
or
an
is
individual
it a command coming out from the Coast Guard or national security?
No, it is an individual basis. They got a lot of people in our Coast Guard and our BDF who really loves this country, and even sometimes the higher up will not be encouraging them to really enforce it, but they, as those BDF and those Coast Guard who really love this country, they will stand up. And you know, that border line. When I was a kid growing up in Toledo, you could go there and there was a line right there, over there to Guatemala and over here to Belize. Clear line. There were markers, and I've spoken to a lot of the ex-military commandants who recognized that there were markers every kilometers. Stones, they call them corn markers, they pile them up like a corn, right? Corn markers. Every kilometer, that borderline was clean and clear, and the villagers, police stipend, you know that less than $20,000 per year could keep that borderline clean. And that comes right up. That's why this weekend, this the 29th of April, which the 30th of April 1859, when the treaty was signed, clearly said there's a line between Gracias a Dios and Garbots Falls, Asturias. Straight line. We can't make no mistake. So this weekend, we're having our 3rd annual border concert, border treaty concert. And, you know,
tell us about it.
Yeah, this weekend, we're going to have Griga Boys. We're trying to get Coconut Boy. We hope some sponsors could come up. Contact me at my 0978, because we need Belizeans to know the importance of the 30th of April 1859. That's when the treaty was signed. There's no mistake about it. The treaty was signed between England and Guatemala, and since then we have had that borderline. It's only since 2015, for the very first time, Guatemala has disrespected this country and has occupied a part of our territory. Now, from 1859 to 2015, they respected our borderline. We never had these issues where they come and say, this stuff we like up on the Sarstoon right now. They never had that. But now they do, because we allowed them. We have not filed anything with the UN Security Council to say that they continue to violate our sovereignty. Why don't we do that?
So what is your purpose of having the event? Do you want people to come down and have the experience?
Yes.
You just want to be able to have a celebration marking a very significant part in the history of this issue?
Very significant. So this weekend at Leela's place in PG, Leela Vernon, it's her place, you know. Griga Boys will be there. We're trying to get Coconut Boy to come there. So somebody please come up and make some donations. Right? Border to but it's very important, and there will be lots of PG artists there, lots of artists from around the country. We have invited speakers, we have invited Dickie Bradley, we've invited Derek Eichmann. It's going to be something big in PG. So it's kind of like some people are referring it to the after the agriculture show. The after bash will be in PG. Right? You know, we have some Patrick Rajas, you know, very dynamic speakers who is versed in this whole Belize, Guatemala issue. All these people that we're inviting to speak are very versed on this topic.
Yeah.
But it's very important that every Belizean in this country know that on the 30th of April, 1859, our borders were defined. That's the whole treaty concert. That's going to be the anthem.
That's what you're
this
celebrating.
Weekend.
Yeah.
And on the 30th of April, which was the day it was signed, trust me, the Belize Territorial volunteers will be doing something drastic. Like maybe reclaiming our 12 miles that was ceded.
Careful that the Ministry of National Security and Defense don't put a stop to what's about to go on.
Well, they've done that before, you know. But we have to stake our claim to our 8867 square miles, you know. And this weekend, the celebration from the 29th, this Sunday right into Monday, which is the actual day, and Monday morning.
All right.
Stay tuned.
All right, Will. Well, we hope you have a successful event celebrating the border treaty. We thank you for coming in, at least for keeping us aware as to what's happening in this.
Okay.
Right?
Very important role.
We're going to go ahead and take a final break, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap-up, so stay tuned.